So Eugene, hello, it's really nice to meet you. Welcome here in Czech Republic. And we prepared a few questions for you. So the first one is, why are you so passionate about Kotlin? Like, why do you think it's so popular language among programmers?
Thank you for having me. As for my story, I started using Kotlin and it was kind of like a free time experiments back in 5 years, maybe 6 years ago. It was really fun for me to learn something new, to try something new. And it was at times when interfaces in Kotlin were still called traits. Well, it was like something you may know from Scala or some other languages, but now of course it's called interfaces. But for me it was fun and it was way different from Java. And maybe it's what it's help people to learn and use Kotlin now, because with Kotlin you type less. You just have an idea what you do, and then you just type it. And of course there are a number of people who are still stuck with the older JVMs, 1.6, 1.7. They still have no lambdas in there, and they need to write a kind of a boring code all over the place. And of course you can generate this code, but still you need to have it written. And with Kotlin you're able to have a more contemporary language with a functional programming, with a kind of a functional programming, but not that hardcore as in Scala. But well, you can use it, and you can compile it back to the older JVMs, and that's all. The most fun, I guess, the Android developers have, because at Android, if you target a huge variety of devices, you're probably stuck with 1.6 as well. I think that was it. And by the way, thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you. Well, and what is Kotlin Native? And is it already ready for production use?
Kotlin Native is yet another idea. So we started with creating a language for JVM, and then it turns out for us that, well, that's a good language, and we can reuse the same language for different platforms. That's how we have a JavaScript and Kotlin Native as well. It's by this time, it's 0.7.1, I guess. It's more or less stable. It's stable so you can use it, but we are not yet reached the 1.0. But if you start using it, just do it, and if you have problems, we are ready and open for feedback. And the thing is that with Kotlin Native, you can target all, it's native, so you can target all native platforms, including iOS, Android. You can create a console app for all platforms you have. You can create a binary for Raspberry Pi or tiny devices, and you can have a WebAssembly as well. So it's the thing where you can reuse the same code between the platforms.
And what do you think is the future of Kotlin Native? Where do you think it will develop over time?
I suppose it's a bright future. Well, it's an open question, and it's really tricky to say something. But well, what we have, the main topic and the main direction we are working on is the multi-platform. So what we are trying to do, we're trying to help developers to share the code between, say, iOS, Android, server-side, client-side, JavaScript, and all the technologies. So the trick is that you're able to use the same code, and then you're not forced to rewrite anything with Kotlin. Instead, you benefit from each platform, and that's the idea. That's the thing we're trying to do.
All right. And do you think there are any threats while doing this, while using the Kotlin in a multi-platform way?
Well, sure, there can be threats. So, for example, you may start and, well, as a developer, it's really fun to start building frameworks or mega libraries or application frameworks or something huge. And if you have this tool like the code reuse, you may start reinventing the wheel here. And, well, it's up to the developer or up to the community to find the boundary, find the way, the moment where you should stop. And probably the best thing is to benefit from each platform. So you reuse the tiny parts, or reuse the business objects, or reuse the data objects. So tiny parts you can reuse. And then at some moment you realize that how it's the better and what is the worse. Well, something like that, I suppose.
I see. And if you should name the biggest benefits you get from using multi-platform Kotlin in your daily projects, what would those be?
Well,
you've already mentioned some, but
yeah, you compile to native code. It means that you have no sort of warm-up, so your application is running instantly. You are able to have the same thing, as I mentioned, running for platforms. It's really fascinating. And you are able to target some nice platforms, including WebAssembly. It's something new. I suppose it's the way we trying to slightly replacing JavaScript, moving towards to something we compile for the web browsers. And I really like this one.
All right. And maybe the last question would be, what is the future of reusing the code over the platforms? Do you think that would be in future like the only way of coding, just like having one code, basically using it for every platform?
Well, I can't say there will be the one way, because all the time we have legacy, we have existing projects right now, they able to solve this problem in the way they solve it now, and of course they will not be so lucky about saying, okay, we will write anything. No, they'll probably not. And it's okay, the diversity is good here. And well, for new projects, for new teams, probably they decide using this, our technology for doing this. And from the other side, we at JetBrains, we are doing tools, and we're trying our best to have the really good experience out of it. And then developers will decide whether they like this technology or not. And we have a number of examples with IntelliJ, with other products and projects, where actually developers are happy with using them.
All right, thank you very much for your interview. It was really nice having you and talking to you.
Thank you.